I had never thought that I would have a second amputation after the first one, because the first one was a very difficult one. I was not used to having one leg shorter than the other, so I fell on my leg, the one that was amputated. I fell on it the first night I came out of surgery. And they came and patched it up, but it was a deeper wound than I thought, so it took a long time to heal. And I thought, at least I'll take care of my other leg, and this one will heal up, and then I can begin to walk again. So I went through the process of training. I had my physical therapist come and help me stand on my one leg and put my knee on the knee band gear that he had, and I started walking around with just one leg. And I thought, at least there's one thing normal with walking with one leg. And 8 months into that, this was 2024, and then in 2025, I noticed that on my other foot, the toe on the bottom was having I was having some pain in there. So I went and see the podiatrist, which is a foot doctor, and he kind of peeled it off, and he said, be careful with this, because there's a lot of uric acid from when I had gout before. I had serious gout problems and gout issues before. But what he said was that the uric acid from the gout was manifesting themselves in the little hole on my small toe to my right foot. And then I went in a couple of times to see him, and he dug out pieces of the bone of the small toe that were cracked, and he said, this is the result of the uric acid from my body that was released through there. And by the time we noticed something serious like the other leg, we did the test on see how much blood was flowing into my lower part of my leg, and there was 0. So we tried to do the best we can. And then when I was in the hospital to remove the toe, the doctor who did the operation said it's just a minor thing that we can cut it off on the top, and then everything else is going to grow back. Well, it never did. And then a month or two later, it began to reflect the same effect of what happened that started the cause of my other leg. And then it was a very interesting thing, because I was going through thoughts I never had before on, what if I lose this leg? What's going to happen to me? And a lot of weird ideas came. So in the meantime, I was still trying to save the toe and save the foot from being eaten alive by the infection. And then one day I went there with my wife, and she took me to the podiatrist office. And while I was there, I passed out because of the sepsis. And the sepsis was from the bottom of my foot. The infection was started there, and it was not hard to make a decision to get a second amputation, but the implication of that came to me later on when I was recovering, and I thought, my goodness, what is life going to be like without both legs? And when I went through the recovery process, the wellness therapy program where they teach you how to walk with 2 legs off, and they put me on the machine where I was able to have handles on both sides. And then they said, stand up. And when I stood up, I realized all of my mental capacity to balance myself was dependent upon the good leg, not the bad the one that was amputated. So that was a huge point of realization that am I ever going to stand up again? Because it was 5 times more harder to stand up on the prosthetic leg than it was standing up on the good leg. And and then I go to bed at night just thinking, how am I going to resolve this? Because in order for me to have the therapy work, I needed to stand up on the parallel bar, hold it, and then move forward with the prosthetic leg. And that was tough. That was really, really tough. And so all of the other exercises that they had me done were compounded because I don't have a good leg anymore. I have 2 legs, one with the prosthetic and the other that just got started. And so that began the journey of recognizing both my friends, my 2 legs were chopped off. And I'm now about 5'8", 5'6", because of the length that they cut off from the bottom of both of my legs. And I was joking with the doctor one time, and he said, you're gonna look good. I said, yeah, but let's make me 6'5" instead of 6'3", because now with the prosthetic leg, they can hike it up 2 inches, and I'll stand up, and everybody think, wow, he grew when he was having these leg amputations. But it was an interesting time for perspective. I had a chance to reflect on. I still had a hope and a dream that I will travel again and go to places that I had visited and lived in before. But this time I realized it might be a little bit different, but I can still do it, but it will be a little bit different. Now, while I was in this operation, I agreed to do some kind of surgery in my stomach for me to do the dialysis, because at the same time my kidneys were failing, and my doctor, who is a kidney doctor, told me, we had people who were worse than you were, or even better than you were, but we recommended for them to do dialysis. So I was in the midst of getting my leg chopped off while they was introducing this thing with putting a dialysis tube in my stomach. So instead of doing that, they did that, and then they did the other one on my shoulder that will allow me to do the hemodialysis while I'm still recovering from the surgery and all of that. So it was an interesting time, but it's a combination of things that makes life so much complex. And some of the complexity in life for me was I missed having 2 legs, and now I'm given the stepping stone to go to the dialysis, which is another major issue, and I didn't know how much of that was going to impact a lot more decisions than I thought with just the 2 legs. So come back the next time. I'm gonna review some of my own struggle with dialysis. Right now, I'm doing dialysis at home with a machine, and my wife, bless her heart, she's an amazing woman. My wife is helping me with hooking my tube to the machine, and it started with just a gravity-driven one, but now we're in the machine side. So it's, instead of just the day-long deal, it's now all night. And I'll talk some more about that and what I learned from having to go through the restoration, the healing of my leg, and the anticipation of walking again with this issue of the dialysis, let alone all of the issues that I had to face before. But I am in good spirit. I'm very, very grateful I'm alive. And it's a great thing to be alive on earth today. So come back. This is Sosenele Au. And if this has touched you or, help you in some ways to, it's always good to hear other people's struggles so that our issues can become a little bit better. And with me, there is no cover up on this. It's the real life situation. By the way, I'm a person of faith. I believe in God. As you can see in my videos, there's a whole introduction of the encounter I had that began my journey in this. And if anything, I was believing God for a miracle to happen, but miracles come when you adjust to the reality of what's going on right now. Please like this and subscribe to my video. Come back and listen to the story of the dialysis situation. And it's very interesting. Life has a way of humbling us and giving us a good perspective so that we can be better equipped for the future. God bless. Bye-bye.